Hello and welcome to this video in the SQL review series. In this video we will cover aggregate functions. The query and its results that are currently showing demonstrate a table with a lot of numeric data. It is a currency conversion table in the AdventureWorks 2012 sample database. I have already limited the result set to currency rates from US dollars to euros, and as you can see the number of rows is 1097. With aggregate functions we can take this numeric data in the average rate column and determine some basic statistics. I will first need to remove the currency rate date column from my result set. We will later see how we can add this back. And to start with something very basic, we will use the min function. The min function will return the minimum value of the selected column. So if we execute this function, we will see that the lowest rate in the period that this table covers was 0.961. The opposite function of min is max, and the highest rate from US dollars to euros in the period covered by this table is 1.2078. In addition to the min and the max functions, we can also use the average function, which is avg. The average rate for this period was 1.0874. Now we can combine multiple aggregate functions in a single select statement by defining them as different columns. Now we see in one result set both the average, the minimum and the maximum rates over the period that this table covers. For clarity, I will of course need to rename my output columns by aliasing them, such as this. In other scenarios, the use of the count and the sum functions can come in handy as well. The count function will count the number of rows. Now, in most scenarios, counting a specific column name, such as this, which of course returns 1097, or counting with asterisks will return the same number of results. However, with the count function, it can be interesting to do a distinct count. In this situation, the example is very artificial, but what this will do is this will count the number of different rate values that we have. And there are only 785 different rate values. So in the 1097 days that we have data for currency conversion from US dollar to euro in this table, there are only 785 different rates. That means that the number between 1097 and 785 is the number of times that a rate value occurred more than once. And finally, one of the other common aggregate functions is the sum function. Now I will use the sum function here just for demonstration purposes, as it would not make sense to add up currency conversion rates, but this will simply create a sum value. These are the basic aggregate functions. They will operate on numeric data, which could be of type float, real, any of the integer versions, as well as decimal or money. In addition, some of the aggregate functions in SQL Server can also be useful on date ranges. Let's examine the min and max functions on the currency rate date field. By applying the min function on the currency rate date field, we will find the lowest date, and by applying the max function to the currency rate date field, we will find the highest or latest date in our table. There are a number of date functions that we could then use to perform date arithmetic, such as subtracting the lowest date from the highest date to find out how many days elapsed between those dates. Thank you for watching this video. The next video will cover the group by clause in combination with these aggregate functions, which will increase the usefulness of the aggregate functions. Thank you for watching.